Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Spease, and today, finally getting to this video that you guys have been wanting to see. This one got the most votes on the top 10s that you guys wanted to see, and it is the top 10 Universal Monsters characters. So in this list, I will be listing the top 10 from the least favorite to the number one. An honorable mention on this list is Countess Valeska from Dracula's Daughter, and she was in one film and she really didn't do much in that one film, so I'm not gonna even put her on the list. So anyone who really loved that film, which I don't know there's many, it's not on here. Don't expect to see it. Alright, so let's start. Coming in at number 10, we have The Bride of Frankenstein. Now, as much as I would have loved to have put The Bride of Frankenstein higher on this list, the truth is, she's not in this movie that much. She's in one film, and she doesn't do much. Screams, she hisses, and that's it. She gets blown up, she's dead. We never see her again. So, she's going to have to be at the bottom of my list, unfortunately. Even though the movie itself would be higher on the list of Universal Monsters films and stuff. This is not the films, this is the characters. So, she's at the bottom of this, unfortunately. Coming in at number 9, we have Jack Griffin from The Invisible Man. Now, much like Bride of Frankenstein, but of course he did a little bit more in the movie he was in, Jack Griffin was only in one film. The rest of the Invisible Man movies had like some variation of a relation to Jack Griffin as a character. But we never saw the return of him because he died at the end of The Invisible Man. So, I hate to have to put the great Claude Rains here at the bottom of this list, but alright, so number 8, The Phantom of the Opera. Now this one, I mean, it started with the Lon Chaney film, The Phantom of the Opera, so there is at least two, but they're the same film. The movie and its remake. And unfortunately, here I am putting Claude Rains low on the list again for his remake version of the character. I really liked his version of this character, but like I said, I mean, it's not like he gets to come back and do more in a sequel or anything like that. There was never any sequels to this. So, as a one-time film, he's a good character and he's going to make a top 10, but can't put him any higher, I'm sorry. Alright, coming in at number 7, we have Imhotep from The Mummy. This character had potential because at the beginning of that creepy opening scene, when you see him wake up, that was great. Fortunately, the rest of the film, he's less like a mummy character and more in line with Dracula, which would have been fine if this series had continued forward with the Imhotep character returning in future films and him getting more time to, shine as a character. As it is, he's in one film, and that's it. And it's not really a very interesting mummy film. It's more, like I said, it's more in line with Dracula, which is fine. I like Dracula, and I like this movie, and I like this character. I just don't think it's the strongest of characters. All right, well, this one might be controversial, but number 6 is Dracula. But hear me out. The original Dracula with Bela Lugosi was the introduction to the character, and then the follow-up movie, as I've already mentioned, Dracula's Daughter, didn't even feature Dracula. And when he does come back in Son of Dracula, which wasn't even about his son, it was really Dracula, he's played by a different actor. He's played by Lon Chaney Jr. And then when they decided to bring him back again, he's once again played by another actor in House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula. And he's played by frickin' John Carradine. I mean, that's an awesome casting decision, but I mean, he doesn't get a lot to do in either one of those two films to be able to shine as Dracula. So this character was really a big missed opportunity that Universal didn't know what the hell to do with him. And it didn't help matters whenever they did Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and brought back Bela Lugosi, and wasted him. That could have been the triumphant return of Bela Lugosi, and it could have helped him go higher on this list if that would have been a serious film instead of just a goofy, unrelated comedy film that has nothing to do with the rest of these films. So that's why he's number 6 on my list. Coming in at number 5, this one might be controversial too, is Frankenstein Monster. Now, the Frankenstein's monster starts off really strong as a character from the first movie, and then Bride, and then Son of Frankenstein, when he's actually played by Boris Karloff. But once he goes past those films, again, like Dracula, it seemed like they did not know what the hell they wanted to do with this character. And I can really see why Boris Karloff didn't want to return for any of those later films. So his story arc is all over the place, and I will get to some of that later in another spot. But yeah, he just can't go any higher than this, unfortunately. If they would have maintained what they did with those first 3 movies, he'd probably be number 1. But as it is, he's 5. Coming in at number 4, we have Karis. Karis was introduced in The Mummy's Hand and was played by Tom Tyler. And Tom Tyler gave a great performance in this as the character, but he wasn't meant to be for long term. And in the last 3 films in this series, he was played by Lon Chaney Jr. And Lon Chaney Jr. played this character in such an excellent manner. You're not even thinking about Tom Tyler in the role anymore once he took over. I mean, Lon Chaney Jr. made this role his own, and it was one of his best in his career, in my opinion. He was dominant. He was badass. The way he portrayed the character. He was strong. He was scary. That's a key word here, scary. I mean, most of these Universal monster movies, looking at them today, they're not as, there's nothing really that scary about them, whereas Karras was a badass freaking character. So, that's why he makes a number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3, and here is one that'll probably be very controversial, but Igor. Igor is my number 3. Igor was introduced in Son of Frankenstein. His story arc continued into Ghost of Frankenstein. And it should have continued further than that. The Igor character was such a interesting character. And Bela Lugosi played him so good in that film. That is one of his best portrayals. I like that. I like his performance as Igor better than Dracula. Because, he didn't get a lot of time to shine as Dracula. He got one frickin' film. Here, at least, he gets multiple films to build this character and give him a lot of cool moments in here. And at the end, he becomes the Frankenstein's monster. And had they continued this into Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, with it being apparent that the Frankenstein monster is Igor now, instead of cutting out all of Bela Lugosi's lines in that film, and then basically just like, hey, we're just going to ignore that because of some test screening bullshit. Well, I'll give you the problem with test screenings. Test screenings, they usually just do it to a general audience. Are you fucking kidding me? You don't do that with a film like this. That kind of a film, you need to be appealing to a certain audience. You appeal to the core audience, bring them in for the screening, and let them see the film, and then you will get a general, real reaction to these films. Modern films do the same stupid shit. And, you do not screen a slasher film or a horror film or any of that to a general audience. These fuckers don't have no clue of what these things are all about, and they will give it a negative right there, just because they don't get it. You do it to the core audience that you're appealing to. You don't go to some general audience and have them come in for a fucking screening and then you go, now we got to change the movie because this audience didn't like it. Well, fuck them. It wasn't made for them. So, yeah. Igor would probably be my number 1 if Universal had not fucked up that screening and then went back and changed the movie, because Igor just disappears. By the time Frankenstein's monster shows up in House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, he's just back to being just some mindless dipshit creature. It sucks. All right. So number 2, Larry Talbot, the Wolfman. Now this character, unlike Igor, had great moments. It's still a damn shame that this character was not featured in his own sequels to his own movies, and it was always these little movies like Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman or House of Frankenstein or House of Dracula that featured him instead of just a, direct sequel film to The Wolfman. But in these films, he was excellent. Lon Chaney Jr. was excellent in this role, and he was consistent throughout the whole branch of his character. And he got a final happy ending. Finally he got cured by the end of House of Dracula, and he got an actual happy ending, a good, he was redeemed and everything in the end. And that's why he makes a higher spot on this list, is because the character was well done and he got a full-on character arc from beginning to an actual end. A lot of these other characters did not get that, unfortunately. All right, and now we come to my number one. The Gill Man from the Creature from the Black Lagoon movies. Now, the Gill Man does not have dialogue. He's not a character that you are going to be enamored by his screen presence. His thing is, he is an innocent creature that was minding its own business, and people came along and fucked with it. And like anything, if you enter its domain and fuck with it, he fought back. He was not the bad guy. He wasn't a villain. And the creature's design, as I said in my reviews for the Creature from the Black Lagoon movies, it is such a great creation. Even the more lackluster looks of him in the sequels, the acting and the performances are really good, and maintain that performance throughout. And much like Larry Talbot, he actually gets a beginning, middle, and end to his character. In The Creature Walks Among Us, we get a final nail in the coffin for the character, unfortunately, and it dies. And it's sad, because you literally are on the creature's side almost throughout these films. He's very sympathetic, just like Larry Talbot, and that's why both of them are my number 2 and number 1 on this list. But what do you think? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with my list? Do you think I'm batshit crazy for not putting Dracula and Frankenstein at number 1 and 2 or whatever? Let me know in the comments down below. And, as usual, if you like this video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, because it really does help the channel a lot. Well, this is the end of this era, I guess. I don't see anything else that I could be doing with the Universal Monsters videos in the future that I can think of. But, I hope you have enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.